NXT has once again, in my eyes, proved why it is the best brand in pro wrestling right now. And this time, I'm not even talking about NXT on USA Network. I'm talking about NXT United Kingdom. For those who don't know, over the weekend, NXT UK had a takeover card, Blackpool 2, 1 year after the previous Blackpool card. And it was one of the most simple yet effective cards I've seen in recent history in wrestling in general. It wasn't a whole lot of matches booked. You know, a lot of times lately we've been getting like 10 matches on a card, 12 matches on a card. Heck, 2 nights worth of wrestling for one card. We just saw New Japan. But this card only had 5 matches. Just 5. But yet, all of them meant something. To the brand, at least. You had Eddie Dennis versus Trent Seven, which wasn't a big, major, long-going feud, to my knowledge at least, but it was a nice, simple storyline and good for an opener of the show, which it did. Eddie Dennis felt like that Trent Seven is washed up. The other member out of the crew that he is a part of, British Strong Style, the stable, that includes him, former United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne, and former United Kingdom champion Tyler Bate. And he has some merit by saying that. I mean, out of all 3 in WWE, he's the only one who hasn't held singles championship gold. He did hold a tag title with Tyler Bate. They were NXT champions for a short little run. But he was basically saying he's just been coasting, riding the coattails of British Strong Style. And without that, he's nothing. So it's a nice, simple story. Enough for them to fight about it. And they had a pretty solid opening match on the card, which Eddie Dennis took the W in. And you can see just off that match alone, it seems that they're building Eddie Dennis toward moving up in the upper card. Slowly but surely. Not a spiked out push, but you can tell that they're building towards something with that. Next match, Women's NXT United Kingdom Championship. Kaylee Ray, defending champion, versus Toni Storm, former champion, and Piper Niven. All women have grown up in the business together, wrestling all over the world, met each other multiple times. I'm sure you can find a lot of their matches against one another on YouTube, various wrestling websites. And the story going in is Kaylee Ray, after taking the title off Toni Storm, has she gotten into Toni Storm's head? Has Toni Storm gotten to the point where she's too mentally unstable to win a match against Kaylee Ray? And Piper Niven, being caught in the middle of things, supposed to be friends with Toni Storm. Now Toni Storm's lashing out at her because she feels that Piper Niven's taking the opportunity away for her to regain her championship. Meanwhile, in the background, Kaylee Ray's instigating everything between them. Simple build, yet perfect for the pay-per-view match. And it was a high-quality match. I mean, all women showed, a lot of great in-ring work. They got an ample amount of time on the card to show what they can do. And you can attest that to being that there wasn't a million matches on the card, like a lot of newer WWE pay-per-views have been over the past few years. And another thing that does, it helps the crowd because now the crowd has the energy to be animated throughout the entire show. You got a crowd going through about 4 pre-show matches. 14 matches on the main card. Maybe 7 of those matches don't even hold any weight to be on the pay-per-view. Some of the matches are poorly built, don't have ample amount of time for the wrestlers to get started. You're just building the case where the fans are just kind of going through the motions and not really into it. I noticed in this pay-per-view, through each match, the fans were animated the entire show through. And, I mean, as they should be. Kaylee Ray ended up picking up the victory. And just like the storytelling going up into the matches showed, Toni Storm was doing a lot of stuff that was out of character for her throughout the match. She looked too eager to go after Kaylee Ray, was sort of shunning Piper Niven as soon into the match, forgetting she was in the match, which allowed both other competitors to get upper hands on her. Piper Niven displaying her friendship with Toni Storm in the match, saving Kaylee Ray from hitting her with a possible career-ending move, in WWE standards. And overall, I think the psychology of the match just fit exactly how it was built. It was just a good match. And you had, after that, Tyler Bate versus Jordan Devlin. Story going into that one was he feels that Tyler Bate has been getting handed opportunities based off of his beginnings within the brand of WWE United Kingdom, being the inaugural United Kingdom World Champion. Devlin feels that if he had been given these same opportunities, unlike Tyler Bate, who's been unsuccessful the past few times out, he would have been successful. Simple storyline. Story that you could say been brewing for a couple years, match 3 years in the making, and it just simply comes to a head. And both of them put on a hell of a show. Arguably, to some, maybe think match of the night. I mean, rightfully so. I feel they both threw down. Tyler Bate, he picked up the victory today, but, I mean, with the way they've been riding it, you could easily have a rematch anytime soon. I mean, this could be an extended feud, plus the way both these guys could work together in the ring. It isn't like a match between them will get old anytime soon, especially with the way NXT seems to book things. They know how to kind of flesh stuff out. And then following that match, you could say the co-main event, Fatal 4-Way Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match for the Tag Team Championships between defending champions Gallus, Grizzled Young Veterans, the inaugural champions, former champions Mark Andrews and his name escapes me. The two skateboarder type looking dudes, those guys. I really forget his partner's name. I can't think of it right now. Man, if y'all know his name, put it in the comments below because I'm lost. And the stable Imperium. But yeah, I mean, I know it's billed as a ladder match, but when you watch it, they use chairs, they use tables, so I'm basically calling it a TLC match. And what's great about this is it gives you those old school vibes when, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Hardy Bros, ENC, Edge and Chris, and the Dudley Boys used to go at it over the tag belts. They're building prestige to the tag division by doing what worked back in the day and recycling the formula now. But the thing is, recycling isn't always a bad thing when done right. And I think NXT UK exuded this to perfection by how they booked this match. I mean, you building a strong tag division because you're highlighting 4 different teams in one match. And they have plenty of time, each team, to show what they can do and put on a great show for the fans. So, I mean, I was able to enjoy the match full way through. Like I said, the fans still had plenty of energy by the 4th match. They're cheering all the way. I mean, UK crowds in general are just really strong crowds. If you look back through history, Monday Night Raw being in England, a lot of those crowds have just been fire regardless, but still. It's not hard when you got a good show on your hands and you don't got to be there for 7 hours. And then to top it off, the main event, which to me rightfully so is the main events for the World Heavyweight United Kingdom Championship between Walter and Joe Coffey. Big fan of Joe Coffey ever since I started watching him on the UK brand. The dude's a beast to me. I mean, Walter's a beast too, obviously. I mean, anybody who's seen them wrestle can know that off rip, how great of a, fantastic of a wrestler he is. And this match was everything it should be. Two big dudes going at it. A contrast to what Walter's faced recently in smaller guys like Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. He finally faced a bigger opponent who can match him, muscle for muscle. And they stressed that throughout the match, basically showing that Walter has probably, met his match at a competitor now. He's not able to bully and throw around like he's been doing everybody else, ragdolling his opponents. Joe Coffey was taking it to him since the opening bell. And that's how you supposed to book a contender. No matter what, even if the champion, the champion is going to come out on top. Joe Coffey showed enough in this match to where you will want to see a rematch because of how well he did against Walter. Both guys went against each other and went out looking strong throughout the majority of the match. And that's how you storytell. I mean, that's what you want to see when you view a wrestling match. I mean, squashes, yeah, they're good when necessary, but you gotta make it worth seeing. You gotta make the contender feel like he's got a shot at winning the belt. And to top this night off, which was already a great night in itself, an interference by NXT USA, I guess you could call it just NXT USA, main stable, the Undisputed Era, led by Adam Cole, attacked Imperium at the end after they came out and celebrated with Walter's victory. Imperium got attacked by the Undisputed Era. And that was great. I mean, they hit you with the little credit sign, making you think it's about to go off air. And you hear the crowd screaming, cheering, getting louder, and you're like, what's going on? Then boom, Undisputed Era comes out, attacks Imperium, and sets up for the next pay-per-view between NXT UK and NXT Worlds Collide. Giving you that brand warfare feel like you get when the Survivor Series pay-per-view is coming up. I mean, just top to bottom, this card to me just felt perfect. I mean, it probably wasn't one of the best cards ever, but it was solid. A solid 8 out of 10 pay-per-view, no doubt. And I will recommend, if you haven't seen it, to go watch it because I highly doubt you'll be disappointed from the quality of matches. But I mean, yeah, it was just good. I mean, NXT to me is just, when you want to see consistently good product and not be worn out by it, I think NXT is the perfect brand, regardless if you're looking at NXT UK, NXT on the USA Network. Both come on Wednesdays, one after the other. I mean, it's just been good product, man. They've continued to show why, to me, they're the best brand in pro wrestling. And I'm looking forward to Worlds Collide more than ever because they've been playing the siege, promoting it like it's a major pay-per-view. So, yeah, I highly recommend you guys check out NXT UK Takeover Blackpool 2. And let me know what you think. Peace out.